Welcome to RANsquawk's morning briefing for Thursday, 24th September 2009. Just come out to 9 o'clock now, so a recap of the overnight news. And obviously the main events, we're still in the aftermath of the FOMC rate decision that was yesterday. As expected, they left their rates range at 0 to 0.25%. Most interesting though, they kept that they will keep rates exceptionally low for an extended period. They also, the Fed, is to keep MBS and agency debt purchases at 1.45 trillion. They did, however, say they'll gradually slow those purchases, which has now been extended until March 31st. Initially that was due to end at the end of this year. However, in terms of their actual Treasury purchases, they're on schedule as expected to finish in October. Take a look then elsewhere in other news. Obviously the G20, that begins today and will continue tomorrow, noting that Britain's Brown says global economic recovery is not entrenched and can be reversed. Britain's Brown saying that G20 must not turn off life support for economies prematurely, says G20 must properly plan exit strategies and need strong economic coordination. Chancellor Darling also saying he does not expect any discussion of currencies at G20 summits. Again, we'll be looking out for those comments during the US section. Elsewhere, following that announcement from the Fed yesterday, the New York Fed said overnight that the slowdown of housing debt purchases begins today, and that the frequency of purchases to decline sometime in Q1 to fit in with that extended plan. And looking in the European front, an interview with the FT, ECB's Liikanen says that the European Central Bank is not in a hurry to implement exit strategies from monetary policy measures. In geopolitical news, the front page of the Times continues to speak on Iran. President Obama's biggest foreign policy gamble appears to be paying off last night as Russia has opened the door to punishing new sanctions on Iran to halt its nuclear program. Foreign exchange news worth noting overnight, the New Zealand consumer confidence hit a 4-year high in the third quarter. That's the Westpac Dermot Miller Consumer Confidence Index rose to 120.3 in September from a previous 106 in the June quarter, which has aided some of the rise in the QE overnight. Looking elsewhere though, we have just seen cable come under a bit of pressure. It's just struck a new session low at 162.65, down around 75 pips. Pound just weakening across the board on the latest comments coming out of Bank of England Governor Mervyn King, who's just said that a weaker pound is helping necessary rebalancing of the UK economy towards exports. Taking a look in terms of equity news, we did finish lower in the US yesterday following the FOMC decision, partly as well due to a big fall in WTI crude futures, which fell over $3 following that extremely bearish DOE report we saw during the session. However, in Nikkei, Japanese players coming back to the market for the first time this week. The Nikkei did rise 1.7%, playing somewhat of catch-up for the week. However, in the UK and Europe currently we are down between 0.75% to 1%. Have seen a bit of a downtick since the European Open. Financials, they are one of the biggest decliners. Seems to be more of a case of a bit of profit taking following on from that FOMC statement from yesterday, after we saw a bit of a late sell-off before the close on Wall Street yesterday. On an individual stock basis for Ford, their CEO expects to be profitable by 2011, that's according to CNBC. For UK banks, noting plans to make the UK's biggest banks prepare living wills so they can be dismantled more easily in a crisis could hurt their credit ratings. It emerged yesterday. Moody's, the ratings agency, warned that the government, or when the government withdraws support, there could be very notable downgrades unless banks strengthen their credit profile by measures such as beefing up capital and liquidity, as covered in the FT this morning. Elsewhere for K&S and the DAX, the company's CEO has said that sees pricing bottoming at the moment, even though global demand remains muted. More importantly, though, he also said the company is looking into a capital hike, among other measures, to beef up its balance sheet. For Sanofi Aventis, experimental vaccine using the company's component in a drug protects 1/3 of Thai volunteers as a HIV vaccine, the first to show any protection against AIDS virus, according to the latest research report. And for ENI in Eurostock's Knight Vinc, the US-based activist investor, is seeking a meeting with small shareholders in the company to lobby for the breakup of the group, according to the Publica. So looking ahead then, next few minutes, we're looking out for the German IFO report. We did see a minor improvement, although still heavily negative, in the Belgian business confidence yesterday, which is often seen as a pre-indicator. In terms of the headline, German IFO business climate expected to improve today to 92 from previous 90.5. We'll then see at 10 o'clock the Icelandic interest rate decision, where rates are currently held at 12%. And then we'll get the jobless data, weekly numbers from the US at 1:30, followed by RPX house numbers at 2, and then 3 o'clock existing home sales report for the month of August. Speaker-wise of note, Bank of England's Dell at 1:15 this afternoon, with Treasury's Allison testifying to Senate on the economy at 2:30, with Fed's Evans, Stark and White House's Romer all due later on. In terms of the focus in fixed income, we'll get the final of the 3 auctions this week from the US to conclude at $112 billion for the week. It will be the $29 billion 7-year notes, again 6 o'clock London, so that will be 12 o'clock in Chicago. Research in motion as well, they're due to report after market today.